First gameplay stream of yesterday was Armored Core 6 continuing on. Now, after all the nonsense that happened last week, idiotic people saying dumb things about the playthrough, like somehow I was watching other streamers and copying their builds, which is ludicrous because I don't watch any other streamers until maybe like way after the fact of me beating a game or something like that. I've never watched a streamer play a game before I did because that would spoil the game. So, yesterday we continued on playing the game exactly as I've always played it the entire time so far. New stream means take a look at the resources, what's available to do, and if there's new stuff available for purchase or new builds there, try them out. That's immediately what I did yesterday. I went from the tetrapod, which I had been using for like a stream and a half, to a tank tread build. During the course of yesterday's gameplay, I had unlocked a ginormous stun needle cannon as part of the story. It's not something that you buy, it's something you need to use for a particular boss. So after using it on that boss, I was like, gee, I wonder how effective this stun needle cannon would actually be like on normal enemies. Problem is, it's incredibly heavy. Even with the tank treads, I wasn't able to maintain my build that I had before. My build before was dual miniguns and dual Songbird rocket launchers. So I said, let's just mix it up completely. Instead, let's do one minigun, and to lower the weight, let's do a assault rifle on the other arm. Not as good, but at least it still is something. And then let's swap out that Songbird for a new homing missile launcher. So that way we have, something to do when basically everything is kind of charging. Fire the homing missiles and you can still deal damage, right? Unload with the minigun and the assault rifle while I'm strafing around the enemy with the tank treads, and then boom, stun them with this cannon, and then they just get locked down. They can't move, and that's when you kind of unload on them. So let's try this build. And so we beat all of Chapter 3, and then unlocked a whole bunch of arena fights. I was able to do all of the arena fights in the game, all the way through rank S with this build. This build was incredibly powerful. I basically I think it was B, A, and S. I did all three of them with this build. I was like, oh my god, this build is super duper good. So then we went into Chapter 4, and everyone was telling me, oh, Chapter 4 is where the game gets really hard, right? Chapter 4, Stage 1, I died once, and then beat it. And everyone's like, whoa. Yeah, because the only thing hard about Chapter 4 is there's a few things that, like a few curveballs they throw at you. In the first stage, you have to drop down this ginormous column chamber, and things are shooting at you, like lasers and homing missiles. But once you figure out, hey, just try to hug the wall, then it doesn't really hurt as bad. And let's be honest, this game has a really good checkpoint system. So after I died, they let you start back at the top with full healing. Like, well, that's not going to be so bad anymore, right? So basically, everything I came up against yesterday, even some of the stuff that was challenging, like there was a boss who had really good melee attacks, and he was very maneuverable, but every once in a while, he'd leave an opening, stun him, fill him with lead, right? Then homing missiles, stun him again, and I beat him, and everyone's like, wow. So now, we're poised. I think I've beaten 3 or 4 stages in Chapter 4. I don't know how many there are, but people watching the playthrough at this point are of two schools. One school is of, oh, the playthrough sucks because Phil's just doing too good. Now, I want you to think about that. The playthrough sucks because Phil is doing too good. Did I make the game? Right? I don't work for FromSoft. I just play their games. So if I didn't make the game, will you hold it against me because I'm doing good in their game, right? I didn't look up any builds. I'm just on the fly changing my build. Every stream I've changed my build of this mech. If you think about it, I started off with a very basic build with a blade and a gun and a couple missiles. Then I changed that up over time. We had the plasma gun and a bazooka or grenade launcher. Then we changed it up again to have the sword again. I had a better sword. Then when the miniguns became available, I changed to tetrapod and miniguns. Then I started getting better cannons. Now I'm a tank build. It's just gradual progression over the course of the game. You would think that's actually what they'd expect, right? That's what they would expect you to do, is gradually improve your mech. Now, for those who say things like, well, Phil's just listening to everything chat tells him and that's why he's doing so well. You haven't watched the playthrough. You're an idiot. Okay, I'm just going to say that. There was one time in the entirety of the playthrough that definitely helped with that. It was when someone said, buy a plasma gun early. They said, just buy it and have it. That helped me with the Baltius boss fight. Absolutely. I will admit that Baltius boss fight was the skill check of the playthrough. But once I beat Baltius, everything else I've done was just a natural progression with things that were made available to me in the game. Yeah, some people make recommendations. Says, hey, the minigun's pretty good, give it a shot. But no one's like, you should absolutely do this build to a T like this, and you should follow it and do it for the whole playthrough. I haven't done that. So anyone who says that, you're a fucking idiot. You're a liar. All right? It's just because you don't like the fact that I'm probably doing better than a lot of people you've watched play, or maybe you yourself. You can't handle it. Oh, we got to try to justify the fact that Darkside Phil is coasting through Armored Core 6. There's no way. It's not a hard game. It's not. Are you ready for this? It's not a difficult game. It's really not. It's meant to be a game that as long as you are paying attention to the mechanics and you're constantly buying and upgrading your mech, and you're doing all those arena fights to have the other upgrades, like the healing upgrade, damage up, and stuff like that, this game is not difficult. There's a couple difficulty spikes in it, as tend to happen in FromSoft games. That Baltius one was literally the hardest thing in the game. Everything else since then has kind of been coasting. And that's not my fault. I didn't make the game. Just because, I mean, like I said yesterday, if you really wanted to argue, right, that all I do is I copy other people, I would have kept dual miniguns and dual songbirds. Yesterday I said, let's change it completely. Let's do a completely new build based on what's available. So I do tank treads instead of tetrapod. Get rid of a minigun, put on an assault rifle. Get rid of the songbirds, put on a homing missile launcher. Start using the stun needle launcher. Completely different build now. Yet I'm still excelling and coasting right through the game. So enough excuses. All right, the game is what it is. I didn't make it. The game is fun, by the way. I really like it. I could definitely see people playing this game 2-3 times with completely different builds trying to master them. Like, I've never used a railgun. I never really used charge weapons. Honestly, I haven't really used explosives that effectively either. I could definitely see all of those being used more effectively. There's also those reverse leg build where essentially you can springboard leap everywhere like an aerial ace, and I haven't really done that either. So there's many different things you could have done in the game that I haven't done yet that could lend themselves to more playthroughs. For what I'm to understand, if you play the game more times, more content unlocks. Like, there's actually secret content after having beaten the game 2 or 3 times that you can only see during those other runs. So there you have it. I definitely can understand why people would like this game and get hooked on it and want to play it more than once. I'm only going to play it once, all right? But I like it. Like, I'm actually significantly enjoying it. I'm actually glad that I've given it a shot and played it. But I'm not going to accept criticisms claiming that I'm just doing what the chat tells me wrong, completely fucking wrong, just a lie, all right? It's people jealous or angry that I'm not sucking at a game that they thought I was going to suck at, and I'm tired of trying to accept that kind of nonsense in my content. I'm just not accepting it anymore, all right? Everyone else on Earth can play a game like this and enjoy it, and if they do well, they get praised. If Darkside Phil does well at anything, he gets told that he's no good. So fuck you. I don't care about anything you say. You're worthless to me, okay? All right. So, sorry, I got sand in my eyes. That's what I'm trying to get out. So, Armored Core 6 rolls on, literally on tank treads now, and has been a great playthrough, and I'm really enjoying myself, and we'll continue on later this week. I think we're bringing it back on Monday. Monday's daytime stream? Yes. So I hope that you'll join me on Monday for more Armored Core 6. Will there be more difficulty spikes and challenges? I guarantee you there will be, right? I almost guarantee you the game's going to have a lot more of that, you know, as we near the end. Apparently the game has 5 chapters, and I guess we're nearing the end of chapter 4. So we're getting there. But I think it'll be fun, all right? As challenging as it is, I'm sure it'll be fun, and hopefully, you know, we'll see what happens, okay? Okay.